Good Monday Makers. It's time for another weekly episode where we showcase builds that have been sent in from the community. Today we're going to be checking out a boat cover, a wind chimes display, an RV storage shelf, a shed awning, and a custom kayak trailer rack. All kinds of really cool stuff in this week's episode. As always, let's jump right in and check them out. First up is this boat cover made by Bruce, and this is really cool. It's that time of the year where boats are going away for the winter, and it's time to do some winterization. As you can see here, he's got his boat up on a storage stand, and he needed to put a cover on top. And a lot of times if you're covering a boat, you don't want snow or water to pull up on top, so a lot of people use marine shrink wrap, which we've actually talked about on the channel in the past. And you can pull that tight, as you can see, and kind of prevent water and things from pooling. But what a lot of builders have been doing is using EMT conduit to create a frame that creates an arch for the cover on top. When it's pulled tight, it kind of just pulls the canvas material tight and creates a pitched roof so nothing can pull on top. So you can see here that Bruce used EMT conduit and maker pipe connectors attached to various things already on the boat. This front railing here, he's attached to the connectors there. You can see he's got some bimini flanges here on the boat that he's attached to in different places, and basically just built this framework to suspend the tarps and to create this cover on the boat, as you can see here. There's a couple of really cool techniques that he incorporated into this. It looks like it's all EMT conduit, and I do see, this is really interesting. I don't know if this is a pole that he had with, I forget what that's called. But basically, you can wrap rope around that, and I don't know if that is made out of conduit. Maybe he just drilled hole through conduit and then added that to it with the bolts there, or if that's a piece he already had. Not entirely sure, but it looks like it goes into the connector here, and then I imagine that creates a point that he can tie down the tarp, which is really cool because it looks like he's got a bunch of different tarps that he's kind of layering there to create the cover. So just really cool ideas and a really awesome winterization project from Bruce. So thanks so much for sharing this. Lots of cool techniques, and we really appreciate it. Next up is a display frame made by Bonnie, and this is a wind chimes display. So I guess she has a bunch of wind chimes that she creates and takes to different shows and things, and she wanted to create a stand to be able to set up at a shop or a market and display her wind chimes. And so she made a really simple stand with the EMT conduit. Looks like she's got buckets on the ground. I don't know if there's sand in there or if she used concrete, but basically those are just used as a stability foot for the display stand. And it looks like there's PVC or some kind of square tubing coming out of that. And then the conduit verticals just slide down into that PVC, which makes it really easy to take apart. And she said, I can take it apart easily to get into the van. So as she goes to different shows and things, she can take it apart and then take it to the market or the shop or the fair, whatever it is that she's displaying at. And then she used T-connectors, you can see, to do the cross pipes. Looks like she stacked flanges here in the middle, which is really interesting, to maybe join the top half and the bottom half. Don't entirely know exactly what that's doing there. But that's really cool, and I could see that being used as a way to connect two halves together. But then she used T-connectors here. She also added some pull noodles to the frame. I would imagine that's to protect the wind chimes, and just really cool, nice and simple stand that she can put up and take down easily and take it to the shows and display her wind chimes. So that's really cool. Thanks so much, Bonnie, for sharing that. Next up is a RV storage shelf built by George. This is really cool, and this is something that I didn't really know. I mean, I haven't spent a ton of times in RVs, but you can see here that there's this track system in the RV wall that the cabinets and different things are secured to keep them from falling over. And they wanted to add more storage to their RV, so as you can see here, it looks like George made a storage shelf using 3/4 inch EMT conduit and various maker pipe fittings to create this stand that attaches to the wall, and they used one-hole straps with, I think he said he had some kind of T-slot hardware and this nut here, and it actually fits in that track system to secure it in place, which is super clever and really cool that he was able to take advantage of that track system. And here we can see the final shelf all put together. It looks like they've got a toilet under there, and they've also got storage up top so they can hang clothes on. They've also got a, what is that? Is that like a generator? It's not a generator, but maybe like a power bank or something. Looks like it, but I'm not sure, to be honest. But really cool nonetheless, and this is a really awesome project, and it's really cool they could take advantage of this track system to secure their storage shelf to the wall. And that's something, if you're building out a van or an RV or something that doesn't have this system, you could add that track system and then build stuff and secure it in place, which is a really cool idea. So thanks so much, George, for sharing that. Really love seeing it. Next up is a shed awning built by Julie, and these pictures are kind of small, so we can't see too close of the details, but we can kind of get the idea. Basically, she had this shed, and without this awning that she built, she said that you'd open the door, and wind, if it was a really heavy rain coming down, wind would blow the rain into the door, and you couldn't really stand out there on the porch, and it was just kind of annoying. So she built this awning to cover the doorway and this front porch area on the shed, and I would imagine she used 90-degree connectors in the corners to kind of create the rectangle, and then she's got 4 verticals in total that secure to the front porch area. I think she used flanges there to secure those in place, and then she said that she used polycarbonate steel, which is a really cool idea and material to incorporate. You know, we see a lot of sunshades or tarps and different things like that, but this polycarbonate steel material might be good for stuff like this, and something to keep in mind for sure. And other than that, it looks pretty simple. I think there's adjustable angle flanges, adding some bracing here. Maybe that's just 45-degree connectors going down. Like I said, we can't see too close of the details, but a really awesome project nonetheless, and a great idea from Julie. So thanks so much for sending in those pictures. Love seeing them. Next up is a build from an anonymous builder who wanted to keep their name anonymous, which is totally fine. Like I've always said, we love seeing your projects, and if you want us to share your build but you don't want to share your name, that's totally fine. Just let us know in the email that you send to us. But this is a really cool project. You can see they have a trailer here, and it looks like they've got some fishing rod holders, or maybe somebody had mentioned on in the comments on the YouTube post that we made about this, maybe they were holding kayak paddles in here, and I could see that being possible too. But basically, they wanted to create a rack, and this is really common that we see in truck beds and different things, where you want to take advantage of the storage space that you have in here, but you don't want your kayak or your boat or whatever it may be to take up all the room in your trailer or your truck bed. So you create a rack that suspends the boat or the kayak up in the air, and then you can still have your storage space underneath. So that's exactly what they did. They have verticals that go up off of the trailer, and they created this box shape. It looks like 1-inch EMT conduit and 1-inch EMT connectors. And then they got some of the universal kayak racks made to mount on different like factory roof rails, and they just bolted those and clamped those down to the conduit. So then they can strap their kayak down up here, which is really cool. And we can also see some really cool hacks that they incorporated into this. They used some of the adjustable angle flange base pieces secured to the wall, and then they drilled a hole through conduit and then added a pin through there. And this makes this kind of a quick release connection for the vertical, which is really cool. And this is something to keep in mind that you can do for hinging conduit as well. You could put the hole way down here, closer to the vertical, to give yourself room to be able to hinge that. And that's something to keep in mind. I mean, that's kind of what the adjustable angle connector does. It has the end clamp on there and allows you to hinge that, but you could save money because you could just buy the base pieces as they did here and don't use the end clamp, and then you could just drill a hole through and then have that hinge in between the pieces. Definitely something to keep in mind, but also for making a quick release piece like this, a really great idea as well. We can also see that the vertical is secured with a bolt and threaded pipe insert. There's a threaded insert inside the end of the conduit. The bolt goes through the flat bar here on the trailer, and the bolt just goes through that and secures into the threaded insert, which is a good hack to add a lot of security. And then it's got 2 hole straps securing the conduit to the wall as well. So it's really secure on here, which is important on builds that are going to be moving down the road. We can see they also added self-tapping screws through the connectors and into the conduit, which is a good hack to keep in mind for extra security. And all in all, this is a really great build. A lot of great techniques in this that you can incorporate into builds no matter what you're making. And we really appreciate everybody sharing their builds. As always, if you want to see any of these in more detail, they'll be linked down below. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.